had been a long time since I'd set foot in a bar. And certainly not with the intention of drinking as much alcohol as my body could handle. Yeah, I went straight to the counter and sat down without even glancing at the rest of the room. I gave the bartender a quick nod and ordered a vodka. I needed something strong. Something that would burn me from the inside. A saving kind of pain. I wanted to forget everything. The past, the present, the future, and even who I was. I was vaguely aware of the other visitors watching me, people staring at my face. A face twisted by grief. My reddened eyes, my pinched lips. Glass after glass passed before my eyes started to cloud over. I couldn't tell if it was the alcohol coursing through my veins or the tears streaming down my cheeks, but I didn't care. I finally decided to look around. Dancers mingled on the dance floor with an eerie fluidity. I saw the blur of indistinct shapes rather than actual people. I slumped further against the bar, struggling to keep my eyes open. I heard you whisper, "I told you not to drink so much, my love." My sobs intensified. I finished the drink in front of me, then rose unsteadily, nearly falling with every step. I dragged myself towards the dance floor, then towards the stage. I stood there, staring blankly, letting memories, now painful, flood over me. I saw you dancing amidst the others, eyes closed and a smile on your lips. That smile I loved so much. That smile for which I would damn my own soul. Just to see it one more time. You slowly approached me with a swaying gait. Incredibly sexy, yet adorable at the same time. You moved your hips with an innocent playfulness, almost as if you were bouncing on the spot, unable to hold still. Yet, at the same time, there was something hypnotic about those movements. I shook my head. I had seen enough. I wanted it to stop. I wanted everything to go back to the way it was. I reached out towards the crowd, harboring the vain hope that you would take my hand, gently intertwining your fingers with mine, and pull me into your arms. But my fingers only met with empty air. Nothing but emptiness everywhere. My head was spinning and I felt sick. Everything was a blur in my mind. The music, the dancers, the memories. Laughter and images flooded my mind. I clutched my head in my hands and curled into a ball. I heard a muffled cry, probably my own. Then everything went black. A bottomless abyss. My head struck something, and pain shot through me. But it was a distant pain. Everything felt so far away, so unreal. Especially the day that had just unfolded. It was all impossible. I couldn't have lost you. Not you, not the woman of my life, anything but you. I woke up a few hours later. I didn't know where I was. I didn't even know who I was. Yet a smile spread across my face as I whispered your name. I reached out to caress your cheek, but you vanished as my fingers were about to touch you. The room seemed to spin for a moment before everything came into focus. White, too much light. A hospital. I sat up, groaning a little in pain. I touched my head and felt a bandage beneath my fingers. I closed my eyes, feeling a shiver run through me. I clutched the sheets, praying to hear the slightest reassuring sound, for someone I loved to appear. But nothing. I was alone. So alone. Tears streamed down my cheeks once more. Groans escaped my lips. I was in too much pain. I felt like I was suffocating, as if I were going to die. But perhaps that would have been for the best. After all, I had nothing left to hold on to. Without you, life had no meaning, no flavor anymore. I let myself fall back into the bed, my eyes closed. I had promised to be strong. You had asked me not to break down, to go on without you. But what was the point? We were at the beach. It was a sunny, relaxing day. We decided to come here to spend some time together, a moment that was both romantic and fun. My eyes were fixed on you, as always. I couldn't help it. When you were there, it was as if everything else vanished. There were only the two of us, in our own little bubble, just for the two of us. An automatic smile spread across my face when I heard you let out a shout of triumph. You had just finished building a sandcastle with some of the children on the beach, playing a little further away. It was something I loved, that innocent side of yours. It was so fresh. My smile widened as you closed the distance between us and then threw yourself into my arms. I held you tenderly, keeping you close to me. I can still hear your enthusiastic laugh when I suggested we stop somewhere to eat before heading home. I ruffled your hair and then took your hand in mine and stood up, intertwining our fingers. I led you to a Chinese restaurant just a few streets away. I knew it was your favorite food, and I wasn't disappointed by your reaction when we reached the entrance. You were bouncing around excitedly, a huge smile on your face. I asked you to calm down, which just made you laugh. Such a pure and innocent laugh. Then you wrapped your arms around my neck. My hands instinctively settled on your hips to pull you closer. A tender kiss was shared, savoring the moment before finally stepping into the restaurant. Once seated, we placed our orders, and you were fidgeting in your chair, swinging your legs just slightly off the ground, still just as impatient as ever. To help pass the time while we waited, I asked you what you wanted to do when we got home. Since you didn't have any ideas, I teased you, just the way I love to do. I adored watching you pout. It was adorable. I finally gave up on trying to figure out what we're going to do next. We just wing it, like always. We talked more while we ate, but I quickly noticed a change in you. I knew you by heart. We'd been together for 5 years after all. But when I asked if you were tired, you denied it, just like every other time. I pretended to believe you, but I wasn't fooled. I had noticed you slumping slightly against the table. I'd seen you rub your eyes and hold back a yawn. That was another thing I found cute about you. The way you'd fight off sleep just to stay awake with me for a few minutes longer. Once we finished our meal, I took your hand in mine. You rested your head against my shoulder and closed your eyes. Even then, you still insisted you weren't tired. I rolled my eyes, acting annoyed, although actually I found you adorable, and leaned forward so you could climb onto my back. You dropped the act. Smiling, you hoisted yourself up, wrapping your arms around my neck and your legs around me. You rested your chin on my shoulder and gently pressed your cheek against mine. I let out a soft sigh as I felt your weight settle heavily on my back. Then, I turned my head. I saw your eyes were closed. Your breathing had slowed, becoming calm and steady. I never understood how you managed to fall asleep so quickly. I kissed your cheek and walked towards our apartment. I'd never have enough of that warmth, that love. I always wanted more. More of you. I wanted you all to myself forever. Once we reached the apartment, I carefully laid you down, and I next to you. When I opened my eyes again, I instinctively ran my hand over the sheets beside me, searching for you, my eyes still closed. I frowned when I felt nothing but cold fabric beneath my fingers. I was about to sulk, just for the sake of it. And then, reality hit me hard. Just as it had every morning for the past week. A dream. It was nothing but a damned dream. I buried my face in my hands and curled up, pulling my knees against my chest, before I even fully realized that tears were welling up against my cheeks. I can't take it anymore. Come back, my love. 1 month later, I looked at the calendar hanging on the kitchen wall. A month. It had been exactly a month. A month since my life had been turned into this living hell. The days had been dragging by, slow and devoid of meaning. I remember that fateful day all too well. The day I lost you forever. And yet that day began just like any other. As always, the first thing I felt was the warmth of you close to me. As always, the first thing I had seen was your tender smile. As always, the first thing I heard was the soft sound of your voice, whispering my name lovingly. As always, the first thing I tasted was your delicious lip gloss. So why? Why did that day have to turn into an endless nightmare? Everything was normal. We were in a parking lot hand in hand. You were humming as always. Till you suddenly stopped. You let out a groan of pain before collapsing to the ground, one hand over your eyes and the other one pressed to the back of your neck. I had to mentally snap myself out of it more than once to keep from panicking, to stay clear-headed and get you to the hospital. The sounds of you in pain throughout the drive, I could never forget it. It pierced my heart. It felt as though I were personally experiencing the agony that was coursing through you. Then came the long wait at the hospital. I was forbidden from entering the examination room. All I could do was watch as the nurses and doctors were coming and going, their expressions growing increasingly grim. I didn't understand what was happening. No one had explained to me. My muscles ached from the sheer tension and anxiety. It was the first time I had ever felt such fear. The fear of losing the woman I loved. It was something that had never even crossed my mind until that moment. The naivete of youth, surely. We were only in our 20s, our whole lives still ahead of us. We had plans. We had imagined that we'd be together for decades to come. So how could I have imagined that it would all come to an end, and so abrupt at that? I felt my fear mounting, my heart crumbling a little more with every step the doctor took towards me. His face was set and expressionless, but his His eyes were filled with anguish and apology. I didn't even need to hear a single word to understand. To fall to my knees, crying. I didn't want to hear those damn words. The words the doctor finally spoke in a voice that was almost solemn. I'm sorry. We did everything we could, but it's over. Over? That was impossible. Not now, not so soon. I don't know how, but I managed to drag myself out of the room, to the chair beside the bed. For long minutes, hours, perhaps, I couldn't take my eyes off that white sheet. That pristine sheet covering the shape of a body. Your body, if the doctors were to be believed. But I couldn't believe it. I didn't want to. Only that morning I had seen your radiant smile, I had heard your laughter, I had felt your warmth close to me. So no, I couldn't believe that I would never get to experience any of that again. That I was now deprived of it forever. I almost wanted to lift the sheet to make sure I was right. That it wasn't you, that the doctors had made a mistake. But I was too afraid. Afraid to see that it was all truly, undeniably real. I stayed there for a long time, crying, clutching my t-shirt where my heart should have been. But now, I felt nothing there. Like it had stopped beating the moment yours had. The doctors asked me to leave. They actually dared to ask me to leave you behind all alone. I felt like I was abandoning you, and it broke my heart all over again. I felt sick. I couldn't think straight anymore. All I wanted was to join you. I couldn't. No, I didn't want to live without you. But I had no choice. Because I remember that promise all too well. That damn promise that would force me to live a life of solitude and pain. That promise to keep living. For both of us. And to be honest, in that moment, if you had been standing there right in front of me, I probably would have slapped you for making me promise that. Because it was too hard. I had lost you only hours ago, and I already knew I would never make it. That I wouldn't be able to bear living without you. The doctors had vaguely explained what had happened. Some sort of meningitis. I don't even know what it was, and to be honest, I could have cared less. All I saw was that I was alone now and in pain. A month has passed, yet that pain hasn't left me. A constant feeling of nausea. My mind is clouded. I've given up on the idea of living. Even just surviving has already been too much. My fingers ran over the calendar, over the date I hated, then over the one next to it, 3 days later. The date that you would never see. The anniversary of the day we met. I leaned against the wall and slid slowly down to the floor. I couldn't even cry anymore. My dry, swollen eyes ached, but it didn't matter. That physical pain was nothing compared to the pain dwelling in my heart and my entire being. I longed to wake up from this endless nightmare, to finally escape this hell, this bottomless abyss. I wanted to see you. I wanted to hold you. I wanted to kiss you. I curled up, groans escaping me as the doctor's words played over and over in my head. That it's over. That had ruined my life. That had banished me from the world of the living. Fuck! Put me out of my misery, someone, anyone, but don't leave me alone like this. A cry escaped me. Your name. Like a prayer for you to come and get me, to come back to my side. But nothing happened. Just that solitude and silence crushing me, grinding me down. That fire burning me from within. Slowly. The worst kind of torture. It's pouring rain. So hard that no one dared venture out into the streets. No one but me. I'm bundled up in a long coat, my hood pulled down over half my face. I walk with a slow, depressing gait, my head down. I'd eaten practically nothing for days. It had been weeks since I had spoken to anyone or even showed up to work. I feel empty, as if a part of me had died that day you left me. I stepped into a small florist shop and bought a bouquet of red roses. Your favorite. I gazed at the flowers for a long moment, a sad smile on my lips. I had never realized it before, but those roses suited you perfectly. Pure and radiant with freshness. I swallowed hard and took a deep breath to hold back a tear, then stepped back out into the rain. The sound of the drops drumming heavily against the roofs and the cars is deafening. I had become hypersensitive to everything, even the slightest noise and light. I unconsciously clutched the bouquet to my heart, seeking, once again, a warmth and comfort I knew I would never find. My steps grow heavier as I near the edge of town, the landscape shifting abruptly, changing from tall buildings to forest and sodden meadows. I follow a muddy path, paying no mind to the clinging muck that stuck to my clothes. I stop once I reach the cemetery's large wrought iron gates. I hadn't dared to come here before. Not once in 3 months. The thought makes me feel terrible. I feel guilty. But I don't have the strength. I didn't want to face reality, as if I still held out hope that you would come back. I force open the gates and the creaking metal makes me grit my teeth. I walk down the cemetery paths, trembling slightly. Only then did I seem to feel the icy water soaking into my clothes. Finally, I stop in front of a grave, fighting with all my might to stay on my feet and not collapse to my knees under the crushing weight of my grief. I placed a hand over my heart and closed my eyes. I am in pain. Such a terrible pain. After a moment that seems to stretch on forever, I finally summon the courage to open my eyes again. Slowly, hesitantly, I lay the flowers on the grave before looking at it more closely. Dark marble contrasted with gold lettering. I traced my fingers over the name inscribed there. Yours. Written in flowing, almost mythical script. I finally stop fighting, letting the tears flow freely and my knees smash against the ground as sobs escape me. I picked up a frame, resting it on the grave. A photo of you. I gaze at it for a long moment. That tender smile, those laughing eyes. The pang shot through my heart as I realized I could barely recall the sound of your voice. That I had forgotten the flavor of your laughter. Yet I was certain of one thing. It was the gentlest voice I had ever heard. It was the most endearing, lovely laughter that had ever graced my ears. I feel the last reserves of my strength deserting me. My will to live vanishing into thin air. I can't go on. 3 months. 3 months have passed since your death. The longest 3 months of my life, and the loneliest too. I set the frame back down and opened my coat to take a small box from my inner pocket. I'm sorry, my love. I know that you made me promise to go on with my life, but it's too hard. Without you, I can't do it. I'm sorry, but forgive me. I can't go on. Forgive me for wanting to join you. I look at the photograph resting on the dark marble. That radiant smile. I gently run my hand over my own face. Tears. Just tears. That was all I was capable of now. You looked so happy. Always, no matter what. You were always smiling at me. Everything is sad now. Everything is dark. Damn it. I miss you so much, my love. Without really thinking, without truly realizing what I was doing, my eyes fixed on your photo. I opened the small box. I emptied its contents into my hand. Herbs and a ring. Your ring. The symbol of our love. I placed it on the grave, then removed one from my own finger. I hadn't been able to bring myself to take it off for 3 months. I set it down beside yours. Then, I looked at the plants in my hand. I knew them all too well. The ones my grandmother had used to join her husband 10 years earlier. Yes. I thought I had lost everything, but now I'm going to see them again. All those people so dear to my heart. A smile curls my lips, even as tears continue to stream down. I wouldn't be alone anymore. Never again. I closed my eyes and put as many herbs into my mouth as possible. I forced myself to chew slowly, crushing them carefully before finally swallowing them. I opened my eyes again and wiped away my tears. I lifted my head, looking to the sky. The rain had stopped, giving way to a radiant sun. My smile widened even more when I saw a rainbow arching over the forest. You came for me. My muscles begin to tremble. I feel strange, nauseous. I place a hand over my mouth, forcing myself to breathe slowly. I close my eyes once more, feeling my mind grow hazy. Memories come flooding back, but they were no longer painful. No, I relived them with joy and delight. Your smile, the first time we met, the way you blushed when I confessed my love, those tender moments when we woke up beside each other. I take the picture frame and press it against my chest, right over where my heart should be. I feel its beat slowing down as my breath grew heavier. I was not afraid. I slowly sink down onto the grave, unconsciously whispering your name. I felt increasingly strange, as if I were sleepy, a sleep from which I knew I would never wake. But that's fine. It's what I want, never to wake up, to dream of you forever. My fingers slowly lost their grip on the frame, and my head falls to the side. I opened my eyes weakly, and I thought I saw a flash in the sky before everything around me, and in my mind too, fade away. Everything turns white. I could see nothing, feel nothing, but I heard it. That soothing voice. Your voice, whispering tenderly, "Welcome home, my love." Be sure to subscribe and click the like button. YouTube tells me that only good girls are going to click on the video suggested right here, so I'm sure I'll see you there.